Good evening, friends and relatives. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're going to give everyone just a minute or two to join us, to log on. But we are back with our Yellowbird traditional storytelling tonight. And tonight we are going to be talking about the Fort Robison Outbreak Spiritual Run. And we are deep in all of the planning, organizing, preparing to leave in just a couple of days. So, but we wanted to take some time tonight to just be able to share some of the history, share, why we do this 400-mile run. So hopefully we got some people on with us tonight, joining us now. But we encourage you all to share on your pages, share with your friends and family, and let us know where you're joining us from. We definitely always like to see that, and it just shows us our reach. And really, what we're trying to do is to just it's not about quantity, but it's about being able to connect with you wherever you are in the world. And I do know that we have a lot of viewers, all around the world. So thank you for supporting us, and thank you for joining us. So I'm just taking a look at my phone here to see if we have people that are joining us right now, because I can't tell. So okay, yeah, it looks like we do have some people joining us. All right, so thank you all for joining us again tonight. My name is Lynette, Two Bulls, Duwanyakiapiwi. I'm Oglala Lakota, and I'm also Northern Cheyenne. And I'm originally from the Pine Ridge homelands, the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota, and I now reside on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation in Lame Deer, Montana. And I've been here for a long time, like 25 years or so, and I make my home here with my children, my companion, our family, and we created Yellowbird Lifeway Center. And really, Yellowbird Lifeway Center is about reminding, reconnecting, and reclaiming our lifeways, and reconnecting back to land, language, culture, identity. And that's who we are, and that's our strength. And so all of our programs that we offer are all designed to do that. They're all centered around our way of life, our connection to Maheo, Tunkashila, Wakantanka, that universal energy and spirit. And one of the activities that we do is the Fort Robison Outbreak Spiritual Run. It's a 400-mile run from Crawford, Nebraska, back here to Montana, to the homelands in Montana. And it takes place, we actually start the run on January 9th through the 14th, but we travel on January 8th. We travel down there and we stop. Our program kind of starts on the 8th. As we're traveling, we stop at Bear Butte, one of our sacred places, to pray and to ask the spirits to be with us, to watch over us, and to help us as we go on this journey. And this journey, this 400-mile run, is challenging emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, in all areas. And it really is a rite of passage for our young people. And it's a transition in their lives, and it helps them, just like a rite of passage ceremony would do. it helps center our young people and transition their mind, body, spirit into adulthood. So physically, they may move into adulthood, but we want to transition them spiritually and emotionally and mentally as well. And so that's what this run really is, because it teaches them to center themselves, and it teaches them to connect to their own strength. And so as they're running in these temperatures, cold temperatures right now, I don't know where everyone's joining us from, but it's very, very cold. I think tonight it might get like 18 below here. And with the wind chill factor, it's pretty cold. So these are the temperatures that, our ancestors ran through back January 9th, 1879. And that's when the Northern Cheyenne ancestors broke out of Fort Robison. And tonight we're going to share some of the history. Phillip will be coming on, Chief Phillip Whiteman will be coming on later to talk more about that, to talk about the history and the importance of breaking out of the barracks in our minds. Our ancestors were held in physical barracks there at Fort Robison. And Fort Robison is where Crazy Horse was held as well, and where he was killed. And so right next door to there is the barracks. They rebuilt them. And so our youth break out of there. They mock that breakout. So on January 9th, which is Sunday, at that approximate time, around between 10 and 10:30, our runners will prepare themselves and will be in that barrack, and we'll sing those songs and pray, and we'll prepare for that journey that they're about to take. And then they'll begin, when they break out of there, they'll start running home. And so today they're not running from bullets and gunfire, but today they are running for their future. Today they are breaking out of the barracks in our minds, those walls that we build around us, the walls of trauma. And so when we break out of that and reconnect to our wisdom, our resilience, our strength, and we focus on life and the sacrifice our ancestors gave for us to have life, and they sacrificed for us to have a homeland. And so our youth reconnect to all of that. And so throughout this whole process of running for these days, they connect to all of that, and they connect to their resilience, and to see the transformation in them is so powerful. So the first year that we did this, we had 14 runners. And our largest year, we had over 100 runners. And now, because of the pandemic, we're keeping a small group. We're taking a smaller group with us this year. So we probably have maybe around 35 runners. And then we have our chaperones and our support people as well. So we'll probably have a group around maybe 60 of us that will be traveling. So for us, that's it's a good group, though. It's, and we're going to have less runners. So, our young people are going to get a lot of running in, and the weather is cold right now. And so we could sure use all of the prayers and encouragement. We run through Nebraska, through South Dakota, parts of Wyoming, and then back into Montana. So tonight we wanted to share a little video with you. It's about 10 minutes, and it gives you a good idea of what we do on the run, and the importance of our language, our culture, our life ways. And so this video that we put together a couple years ago, it shows that. And in this particular year, we focused on our theme. Every year we have a theme, and that year it's, we wanted to focus on, who are you? We wanted these kids to answer that question. Who are you? What is your name? And our traditional names are so important. And just like my name, was given to me by my grandparents, Matthew and Ellie Tubles, Duenya Kiapiwi, which means scouts the way woman. And my father, it was, they gave me that name because of my father, who was in the military, and he was an interpreter and during Vietnam, and they would always send him in first. And so they told me that I'm going to make a way for the people. I'm going to go out front and make a way for the people. And it's, when I was young, you don't view things the same way as when you get older. And now that I'm older, I cherish that name so much. And I see how my life and the path has really unfolded. And, it falls in alignment. So our names are really important. And so those are some of the things we do on the Fort Robinson run, is this reconnecting, back to who we are. Who am I? What is my name? And, maybe that's something all of you out there should ask yourselves. Who am I? What is my name? Where do I come from? Who are my people? Who are my ancestors? Those are all things that we should be asking. And so when we gave the names, we had elders with us, and they gave the traditional names to the kids that didn't have names that year. And it was just so powerful once they received their name, through the ceremony. It was just like they just lit up. It just brought something out in them. They felt connected. And so we're going to share that video now. And afterwards, I will come back on and I'll bring Phillip on, and he's going to share a little bit more tonight of a message. So thank you again for joining us. And we'll go ahead and go to the video. Who are you? What is your name? All youth, all of us need to know who we are, where we come from, and how we're connected to the earth, and how we are the earth.
We as Cheyenne people are born on this earth. We say that Mahale, the Great Spirit, the Everywhere Spirit, when He gave us life, planted us in this earth. Hitzil, Mahale, Nenanai, here in this place called Earth.
We are spirits having a human experience. The spirit is asking the Creator, am I the earth? Am I the Holy One? Am I the Creator? Ho'e nane heva. Nama ayanebe.
I'm happy that my ancestors broke out from Fort Robinson so I could be here and continue their run, and to keep remembering them and the hard work they did just so I can be here, continuing to learn my culture, my language, and how sacred our people are and why we're so important to this land.
One of the things that makes us Cheyenne is our language. And our language knits everything together as Cheyenne people: the culture, the land, the flora and the fauna that grow on the land.
The spirits from the universe, they recognize us through our names, our Cheyenne names, our Lakota names, our young people. It helps them understand that they are spirits having this human experience, that they're resilient, they're loved, and that they're connected to the universe and they're connected to everything.
Sometime along this run, think about where you guys come from. Think of your Indian name, where it came from, where your families are from.
My Cheyenne name is Mavitz, meaning red bird. I was named when I was 5 years old, and my Indian name comes from my grandpa, Sambo Black.
My Cheyenne name is Ojemhe, which means brave woman. It's important for us to have a Cheyenne name because we belong to a group, to a family. My sister's name, Hollywood woman, and we gave that name to one of her great granddaughters on the run.
My Indian name is Wolsta, and it means little white buffalo calf woman.
My Indian name is Petawat, which means buffalo. To me, it feels like it makes me strong, like I'm as strong as a buffalo.
We're named after relatives or maybe whatever happened that day.
My Cheyenne name, there's actually a story that comes behind it that takes place here in the Fort Robinson Run. So I'm very proud and honored to carry this name and to carry the meaning that comes with it. It just embodies everything I'm about. I am a free bird.
To all the kids that doesn't have an Indian name, they should get one because it feels good. And I'm so grateful for mine.
The language transfers our culture, our stories and events were our curricula. That's how we learn to live life. That's how we learn the essences that make us Cheyenne.
I just want to share with you a little bit. My father was a prisoner. So was my grandmother. I know many of you had relatives there. When my father used to tell us stories about how they were treated, how they were chased and shot at,
What's going through my head when I'm running is about how my ancestors suffered trying to get us to freedom and how I want to be like them.
he used to always tell us, you don't know what fear is. Fear is being chased like an animal. At that time, I didn't understand. It took me like 50 years to understand it. And I know some of you, you'll be able to take some of this stuff home that you heard, the stuff that you learned, what people said, what they shared with you. I want you to think about it and make some good choices in your life.
When Phillip said it's when you break out of your barracks in your mind, that's when I realized I had been released from my shackles and I just felt free for the first time in my life. Like I'm done surviving. I'm starting to live now. For the first time in 16 years, I feel like I could be consistently happy and feel good now.
Stop. You're saying to yourself, I can do this. I can keep running. I'm Cheyenne. Stop. And that means I have a strong heart.
I really like this run because I'm around positive people and I learned how to move on from my grief. When I lost my mother, I would just stay in the past and I always look back. And when I started coming on this run, I realized my life isn't that bad as our ancestors were. We all have the same struggles on this run, and everybody else around me on this run talked to me and helped me go through it. I like being around people who understand my problems, and I like knowing that I'm not alone.
With my people, surrounded by prayer, surrounded by my family. These people are my family.
My grandma brought me on this run when I was like 6 months old, and she died in August. She's the one that kept me strong all my life. I feel like she's running with me. I feel like she's watching over me. I feel like she's keeping me warm, keeping me happy, keeping me strong.
You are our future. Your ancestors are proud of you. When I see you running by, it just makes my heart swell up, and I am so proud of you.
I'm thinking about my ancestors and staying strong for them. Run for the ones that couldn't make it back.
While I'm running, I think about making my family proud.
When I got to hold the flag, I feel like my ancestors were running with me.
They broke out for freedom for us.
Mhm.
What we're doing, it comes from spirit. The Fort Robinson run, it reconnects them to language, land, culture, identity. Our young people, they learn to center themselves. They have to learn to come together as a team collectively in unity to make it home. They learn whatever comes their way, they can handle it. We're reminding them, reconnecting them so they can reclaim who they are.
Our Cheyenne, beloved children, they have this connection, a spiritual connection to this earth, this whole, in a dynamic, interdependent universe in which they are related to all life.
Our kids need to know who they are, where they come from, what they're made of, and how powerful they are. And through their names, they have that strong connection to the earth, to the universe, to everything.
We live for our children. And this run is just one aspect of how we love our children and how significant they are to us culturally. They are our monumental human treasures. They represent the hope and the dreams of the people today.
Ma'aka Daniwasans Hinemia. It's used after a prayer, after the pipe, after the tobacco, after the ceremony is complete. That song is used to send the message with the badger, along with the prayers to the Creator.
Well, I hope that all of you like that video, Koch. It just gets me all choked up. Many of the elders that were pictured on there are no longer with us. One of them, Clinton Birdhat, he ran, you know, he would run with the staff, with the kids. He was out there every mile, out taking his rotation, taking his turn. And, you know, he was affected by COVID and he journeyed on to the other side. So to see him, you know, on there brings back a lot of good memories. And, you know, I know he's in a good place, you know, and I know that he lived his life to its fullest, you know, even coming on the run and being with the kids. And, but that's why it's important to continue to do these things, you know, do these types of activities, you know, because we have to think about the future generations. And we do have elders, you know, our board members, Dr. Henrietta Mann, she was speaking on there, and also Jenny Parker, Grandma Jenny Seminole Parker. And if you think about it, it really, this happened, it wasn't that long ago, January 9th, 1879. It wasn't that long ago because Jenny's father was a survivor of the Fort Robinson breakout. So it, we think of it as history and something that happened long ago, but it really wasn't that long ago. And so Jenny, she heard all these firsthand accounts from her father. And so she shares that. And while we're down there, we focus on our oral history. These are stories that are passed from generation to generation. And, now we're moving from surviving to thriving. And we're reconnecting to all of, our strengths and all of those things that help us heal and help us reach, our highest potential. And so, I want to bring Phillip on now and ask him to share a little bit about the history. And I know he has a message that he wants to share as well. So we'll bring him back on. And if any of you, have any comments, and I see some of the kids that come on the run, they're on watching. And it just, seeing the video, it just brings back everything, all those good feelings and all of the memories, and it makes us that much more excited, because we're going to be leaving here in a couple of days. So I'm going to bring Phillip on, and he's going to share with you, and then I'll be back on again to close it out.
Good evening. Mahayo. Not those. This is it. As a doorway's. The heart may just not what's done. The hot one of it done. Not just done it. No. What came to her? Not the hour harms no man. The heart is in the head dance. Now what's done. It's not at us. No. Dacha. The next door, no matter when they met the man, she was touched. No matter. Then I walk chasing in the hood door, my own and out. Such that I would sit to my earnest. Then she was down and not my earnest. my grandfathers, they were at Bad Up Little Bighorn, and one of my grandmothers, my dad's grandmother, it must have been about 13 years old, and she was at the big gathering over here on the Rosebud Creek. They had Sundance there, and the Sioux, Cheyenne, Arapaho, they come together, and well, I guess man, I, I I don't know everything, and I'm not smart or intelligent, but what I do know is language and what my parents and grandparents, what they left me and what I saw till now. And I believe in dreams, and you gotta have a vision, and some way, somehow, this journey that we're on, those songs that were taught to me, that I listened and I heard, that language. So it's our first language, and it's a love-based language, and language I think is really important, and the desire to come home. My grandfathers, they tell me stories. There's a storm coming, and they hold their pipe. They talk to that storm. There's a whirlwind coming, tornado, with dust. They talk to that whirlwind. They offer it tobacco. And wintertime, we give grandfather Whitkin. So it's the old man winter. They put tobacco down and they talk to, I guess it comes after horses and livestock and animals. And I guess it even comes after his those ones that he's chosen. Listen, then he looks for friends. And the fire, it's coming. And they talk to that fire. There's a fire, it's got spirit, it's alive. And they talk to it. Language is really important. And it's a different kind of mindset. And I guess someday we're not gonna lose. We're gonna lose our language. We're not gonna be able to talk to the fire. We're not gonna be able to talk to the whirlwind. We're not gonna be able to talk to the old man winter, that blizzard, that bitter cold spirit. we're not going to be able to talk to storms. And I guess that's when they're going to come. Floods, blizzard, storms, fire. And our people could communicate with all those different spirits. But when that time comes, our prophet, sweet medicine, called it Winistano. And when we're going to be some way. We're not going to be able to talk to them anymore. And they're going to come. And they're here now. When they took us to Oklahoma, our people, they didn't understand it. They started dying, sickness. And then they kept waiting. They were kind of going along with that superintendent. They were going along just to get along. And here, boy, I guess everybody's dying. So finally, those chiefs, when they're not chiefs, they're servants. They said, we still pray, we still talk to the elements, we still talk to the Creator. Let's use those words, let's use our prayer, and let's go home. And then I guess they wanted to meet with that superintendent, and he had no intention to meet with them. He's sitting out there for about 4 days in the hot sun. All during that time they were praying, they were preparing themselves. They were focusing on life, that desire to come home. They didn't want to look at that death. They didn't want to look at the obstacles. They didn't want to look at the challenges. They didn't want to look at that incarceration. They didn't want to look at what was happening. They wanted to come home. So in the middle of the night, they left. I guess they told that somebody, superintendent or his one of the soldiers there, just give us a short distance. That's all we're asking. So when they left in the middle of the night, I guess one of them got scared. They left, they went back. And they told those soldiers that those Cheyennes had left. So they started chasing them. That was September 9th, 1878. And here, they chased them, grain-fed horses, soldiers, but they had a woman that could, when they got gifts, they know everything. They got intuition. And the leaders, they knew that was language and spirituality and respect amongst each other. And it wasn't like the way it is today. We can choose sides now, but back then they didn't have no sides. It was a circle. There's no sides in a circle, and then they all connected. They all related. They just they put all their mind together, and then too they still had the ability to shapeshift. I guess soldiers, they're coming on them. They're just about caught them. Those ceremonial men. Well, they're not ceremonial men. They're not holy men. They're spirits. They told them, their relatives, to put their robes, their blankets over them. Them soldiers rode right through them. I guess later on, as they were making reports, that soldiers said, the Cheyennes, we were right upon them today, and we caught up with them. But all we saw was Buffalo Rock sitting along the road, the trail. They could shapeshift. They could talk to the plants. The sails. He could do a lot of things with their language. And they got forest to somewhere in Wyoming there. Leaders, they kind of split up. They went and surrendered. And they call it capture. They took them to Fort Robison. My grandfathers, they came and made it back to Alder Creek. But those grandfathers told some of the soldiers, dog soldiers, or those warriors, I should say, that go with them. What they saw was death. You know that my grandfather, Phillip, my dad's grandfather, my great grandfather, he was a young boy at Sand Creek. I got grandfathers there on my Rapo side. White Antelope. That's my mother's grandfather. And then them guys, they got killed down there. Somehow, some way, my grandfather, he was just a young boy, about 3 years old. Maybe a little bit older, not that much older. Because I guess he was learning to walk and talk when those soldiers came and castrated and started cutting up those old men, women, children. And as they were running, his stepdad told him, let him go, let him die. He's one of them anyway. I guess he was half-breed, mixed blood. His wife, his mother must have went back and tried to get him. Stepfather came and grabbed him by the face and stuck his thumb in his mouth and ripped his face and saved him, but ripped his face all up. And here, he got to see his mother, his aunt. There's no aunts. They got no uncles. But his original mother went up, burns the bad stuff away. She died, and they put it on the scaffold someplace by Custer, South Dakota. There's someplace, the Black Hills. And aunt took over and when soldiers came and wounded me, killed them, dug that hole. I guess his aunt, my grandmother, great grandmother, they kind of threw her in that hole too, Cheyenne. And then they make him walk all the way back from there to Miles City. When they broke out at Fort Robinson, that band, they prayed. They had spirits with them. I guess those soldiers, they said that it was like it was undescribable. The songs and the energy that was coming out of that wooden barracks. They were captured there for 2 weeks. They tried to negotiate with them. They didn't want to go back. And then they took fire and food away from them, water, bathrooms, everything. They stripped them. And I heard a story about, I got friends all over. And I heard there was a young girl. She was in this train, boxcar. And I guess there was a respectable old man from his community. And he helped people. And that girl knew that he was respectable. And they were put in boxcars. And bitter cold. People were crying. And they all crammed in that boxcar. She started helping that old man to keep him warm somehow, some way. I guess that morning when the crying stopped, I guess there was a real eerie silent sound. Everybody had froze to death except her and that old man. That was then when it's a Holocaust, they call it. I heard that story, and it just reminded me of our Holocaust that's going on right now. What our people went through. Those little children and those grandmas and the people that were inside that barracks. Their desire must have been so strong to come home. The death, weakness, hunger, fear, all of that, their desire, it overrode all of that. And their spirituality. I guess those soldiers said that those windows were just blown out, and then doors. And it's like a mystical power that magnified that sound. And the way they described it, and they done everything to stop those Cheyennes. They just started shooting at them, and a lot of them, they died right there. And some, they chased them. They call it the last hope. And they were huddled up there in the 20 below zero. And then they rode in and just shot them point blank range. And or that what Custer done at Washita, what he done, all those different events that happen, not just with Cheyenne people, but I want to know. I want to know why we're at where we're at now. That was about like 28, 29 years ago. I'm fasting at Bear Buttes. I don't have the language. I don't have the education. I don't have the knowledge, information. But I knew in my heart that that language, what done us resilient, have a strong heart, don't give up. That language or words in our language are real powerful. One thing can mean many things. In the English, many words can mean one thing, and it's like convoluted, it's like backwards. And it's my second language, and it's can't, but, wait, I know. And then maybe too, I don't know, maybe it was my environment. But regardless, we're at where we're at now. The 26th annual Fort Robison run. And that shift, the language, the paradigm shift, that gratitude, resilience, reconnect and reclaim, all those different words that are starting to be utilized during this run. A lot of words. And I got friends. I got a chance to talk at the United Nations. We done training there. And I got to go to Europe too. I got to go different places for my rodeo, and I'm still learning. And I heard one of those kids say that they're breaking out of the barracks, out of their mind. That's the transformation that I'm still going through. And I learned some new words. It's called dispossession, oppression, dependency. The system. It's created by colonialism. And before I learned all those different words, I invented a word. I call it reservation-itis. Shame, fear, anger, hatred, jealousy, control, trying to exert power where I had none. I can see the effects of it. Then we started this run, and now we're learning more words, kind of figuring it out now. And well, I look forward to this run every year. And the children, they're hungry now. They're hungry for the language. They're hungry for those words that can move mountains, that can, when their problems come up, they want to know the fire, the wind, the tornado, the natural forces, what English calls disaster, our people greeted them. They knew them spirits. And that's what our children are hungry for right now. They're done with this. They're done with this system now. And this COVID, this virus, it's powerful. They're taking all our elders. But there's a mind virus that happened to our people. The history. A lot of them, they didn't make it. Not in the war, but in the genocide. The mind virus. But this run here, what it does, it reconnects those young people to that spirit. You should see the transformation on that they go through. It's just like some of them are just stone cold when they first come. But once they start going through the transformation and when they start hearing the language and how it's used in our songs and in our prayers, thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Phillip, for that song, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and a little bit of history about the run, what happened, what led to us creating the Fort Robinson Run. Originally, when it first started, it started as a run around the reservation here, all the districts. And Phillip always shares how he was out running, just a few of them. He had to go round up all his nieces and nephews to run, and they were out early in the morning, and everyone would look at them as they were just driving by, like wondering what he was up to, why he was running so early in the morning with the kids. And now, the fourth year, after the fourth year, he shared with me that he wanted to run from Fort Robinson, the 400 miles, to finish the journey that many of the ancestors could not. And so, without really thinking, I'm just like, let's do it, let's do it. And so that first year we had 14 runners, very challenging, but to see the transformation in these kids was so powerful. And so we continue to do that every year. We just said, we need to do this again this year. We need to do this again this year. And here we are 26 years later, still continuing on and still impacting all of these young people. And, he mentioned something, breaking out of the barracks in your mind. And one of the young men in the video mentioned that too. And that's really what we're doing. That's really an important part of this, is we're not only reconnecting to learning about the history of what happened, because they say if you don't understand history, you don't know history, it can be repeated. So we have to understand, what happened to our people so we can heal from it. But we also want to understand it and understand, like, the sacrifice our ancestors made. Like, they wanted life. We are the result of our ancestors' prayers. We are that. Our children are that. And we continue to pray for the future generations. And so these activities like this, these runs, walks, the rides, there was just a couple of rides that finished. The Wounded Knee the Bigfoot riders, paying tribute to their ancestors and remembering their ancestors that were massacred at Wounded Knee, and the Dakota 38. All of these campaigns took place in the coldest times of winter. And, so it's important that we do these things to help us heal and to help us look to the future and help us to continue to thrive, not move from surviving, but move to thriving. And so those are all really important. So everything that we do, it takes a whole group. It's not just us. We have a board of directors that are involved in every aspect of what we do. And, I just like to acknowledge them. Micah High Walking, Ellen Little Coyote, Grandma Jenny Parker, Phillip, and Dr. Henrietta Mann. And so I want to acknowledge them. Also want to acknowledge all of our chaperones, drivers, supporters. Like, there's so many people that are involved at so many different levels to make this happen. And even when we're on our journey, like, there's people along the route coming home that support us, like the Oglala Sioux tribe. Barbara Dolknife has been with us from the very beginning, providing food for our runners and providing a hot meal. And even last year we had COVID protocols, so we're, avoiding certain types of gatherings. They made it a point. We were running way out in the middle of, nowhere, literally from Crawford, Nebraska to Hot Springs. There's nothing out there. And here we come across, they're set up along the road with a drum group, with a speaker system, and with all of our meals and to-go hot meals and to-go containers. And, they had a spiritual man there that prayed for us. And so, what that shows me is our people are resilient. Our people can adapt. And we're still here because of that, because we are resilient. So we want to thank all the people that help us in many, many different ways. All of you, for tuning in every week to our programs, our storytelling. So we're just real thankful. And we ask for your prayers as we go on this journey. There's going to be a small group of us, not very many runners. So it's going to be tough on them. So we ask you to remember us as we're running. You can tune in on our social media, on Facebook, our YouTube, for different programs, and we'll be posting, our journey on there as well. So we ask you to tune in. Just want to thank all of you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope you really enjoyed that video. I want to say good night, good evening to all of you. Yeah, Wopila.